Vi ska fortsätta att prata om jobb. Och det handlar ju i Europa, så har vi pratat mycket om det här med diskussionerna kring medborgarlön. Skulle det kunna vara ett alternativ till a-kassa eller försörjningsstöd? Och vad skulle man vinna på det? Och vad skulle konsekvenserna bli? För ett år sedan så tog den finska regeringen beslut om att faktiskt införa medborgarlön på test. Just nu så pågår planeringen för fullt och 2017 så ska man då dra igång det här på allvar. Och i en första omgång så ska 2000 personer få vara med om detta och få just en medborgarlön. Välkommen Henna Keränen från den finska tankesmedjan Sitra som jobbar med projektet.
Tack Lena, och tack för ni alla av den möjlighet att vara här i Malmö. Det är faktiskt min första gången i Malmö och första gången i Skåne, så det har varit jättehärligt att vara här. Probably I change now to English. It's a little bit easier, and the topic is not that easy either, so it will be easier for me. Basic income is my discussion in here. So do you know these two people in here? Some of you probably know. And do you know what do they have in common? Well, the lady in here, the young lady in here, she's a party leader in Finland. Her name is Li Andersson. She leads a left-wing party in Finland. And here the gentleman, his name is Björn Wahlroos. He's also a leader, but in the banking sector. He's a chairman for a bank called Nordea and Sampo. But what do they have in common except the leader part? Well, they are both progressive Finland Swedes, and they are both supporting the basic income. A basic income, which is like a benefit unconditionally paid to all individuals. And we have support from left to right towards it. Why? Well, there is these shared values of the thought of the basic income. There is this liberal mindset that people have this thought that actually people knows best what is good for them. There is a will to lose bureaucracy, and there's also a will to boost the employment rate. As we say in Finland, it happens like in Strömsö. I'm not sure, do you know Strömsö? But well, this is not exactly like Strömsö because there is also this kind of tricky parts in it. One tricky question is actually the employment rate. What will happen to it? Will it actually decrease if we are having the basic income? How about the other social benefits? What is the relationship with them? And probably the hardest question to solve out, what would be the right amount? Here's a question for you all. If you would receive 6,000 svenska kronor, would you work less? How many of you would work less? Raise your hand. Now I know that there might be a possibility that your employer sits next to you, so I'm giving this like a thought. Probably half and half. This is a tricky question. But despite of all the hard questions, we are trying it. Actually, Finland prövar medborgarlön. Next year, it's going to happen. So how is the experiment is going to help? What will the experiment is about? But here a little bit backwards. What was why we are doing this? Why Finland wants to have this kind of experiment? Well, there was a political momentum to it because our prime minister party, the Center, has been supporting the idea of basic income pretty long time now. Same time, there was this kind of weight of our previous government. Finland's national debt is rising. Our social security model is quite expensive. It's not that effective. There weren't that much reforms to our social security that we have been like waiting. The previous government didn't do that much. So now we have a pressure towards our new government. They need to show that they're actually doing something. And at the same time, as we heard before about the future of work, if the working life is changing, if we're going to have more and more part-time jobs, or this kind of a robots thing and everything like that, how will our ongoing welfare state will like answer to that kind of challenge? And those questions are those are the reasons why are we now speaking about the basic income idea. So what are we doing? What is the experiment about? Well, we are doing this kind of randomizing field experiment. The experiment were a little bit squeezed. In the focus group, we have 2,000 people who will get the basic income. They are unemployed job seekers. They will have 600 euros, which is about 6,000 svenska kronor. It's unconditionally paid amount, right? And they are giving that unemployment benefit. Is it considering the ages of 25 to 58 years old and 2,000 people, and the experiment will take 2 years, and it will start 2017, which is actually the same year that Finland celebrates its 100 years independence. So quite much happens. At the same time, we have different focus group who are getting also unemployment benefits, but the benefits, they are not paid like unconditionally. So now we are like comparing these different focus groups, that what happens. Will our employment rate rise, or how will their behaving change? So that is the thing that we are now focusing on. There has been some critics about the basic income experiment that we are doing, that it is not actually a universal basic income. The critics is about that we should have more focus groups, so if we want to have more reliable results, and that is it only like unemployed people, it's not enough. We are sharing the idea. I think that yes, definitely we should have more focus groups, and we should also be able to test different kind of tax models to those focus groups, like flat tax or progressive tax, so we would know more. But we are hoping and leaning to our government, which has said, actually in media, that it's willing to widen the experiment in 2018. So we are looking forward to that. Probably next year I will know more about the results, and will the experiment 2018 going to happen? But in the meanwhile, despite all the critics, there is definitely positive things about it. One, probably the most positive thing here is that our government is actually doing something. And actually, we are having the courage to have like this kind of experiment. Secondly, this is our first field experiment. So probably it will give like path to other field experiments also in Finland. And yeah, because the reason that we are so like happy about the courage is because we need those reforms, and same time, like politicians are too often, they are very afraid of these kind of experiments. They are like afraid that they might fail, or they might do something wrong, or they are just like trying to take too big piece of the cake in the one time. Although we know that probably sometimes the baby steps would be the thing that needed, so if we want to take the path towards the reform. So, a success or a failure, we don't probably know that yet, but one thing is for sure. It's a small step for a man, but it's a giant leap for a mankind. So thank you all. Probably, Elina, you have some...
Just a short question.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest difference for a person not to go on welfare and that kind of support, and instead of having an income?
Yeah, probably the biggest difference is there that the other focus group who is getting like the unemployment benefits, that is not unconditionally paid. They have to, fill the reports and seek a job towards to get the amount, the benefits. But now the basic income, it's more about you don't have to like fill those papers. You just like get the money, and then we are hoping that it will like encourage people to take jobs, because now we have this kind of traps in our system that if you get unemployment benefits and you receive like a part-time job or something, and then you lose those benefits. So it doesn't encourage people to take like these small jobs. And if the job market is changing towards that, it's a big like problem.
Now you start with 2,000 people. Is the plan, if this is going all well and you will do this in Finland, will everyone have this, or is it just some groups that will have it in Finland?
Well, that's also a tricky question to solve out, because it would be very expensive if everyone in Finland would like get it. Probably the most realistic model would be like this negative income tax, which is pretty near to basic income idea. But there is this thought that the less you earn, you will get some subventions from the taxation. But Finland's tax authorities wasn't ready for this kind of experiment, because there is some things to be changed first. Mm-hmm. So probably that is the most like realistic model. But I think that if the idea that everyone gets like the basic income, we definitely need some kind of taxation with it. Otherwise, it would like cost way too much, and we are not doing that good.
Okay, very interesting, and good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do you want to read in Swedish or eat in Swedish?
Read in Swedish. Jag skulle lära mig bättre min svenska. Tack så mycket.